Welcome back to Believe in Badgers on the Believe Network, presented by Oak Bridge Wealth Management. I'm Matt Perkins, joined as always by Badger legend, the Hebrew Hammer himself, Matt Bernstein. Bernie, how are we doing today?
Man, we are good. I'm not the legend. This beautiful bald man is a legend. So only QBs can be a legend at Wisconsin. Right, Mr. Stocco. Nice. You hand the ball off a lot, but you did make some pretty beautiful throws. Good run against Michigan, which was pretty bananas. Like, I think you're a legend, my friend.
I don't think anybody's as big a legend as you are. I mean, let's be honest here.
Well, so. you bust your butt on the field and you drink 100 Coors Lights after. Yeah, people tend to enjoy that.
It's a good time.
Yeah,
it's generally you're going to have a good time if that's your plan.
By the way, John Stocco, now that we're talking about Coors Lights, I would have called Coors Lights and say, hey, sponsor me, NIL. Who would you have called?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. Maybe Parthenon.
Ooh, I didn't realize you were a Euro man.
I would have played for a couple free Euro fries. That's all I needed. I don't need the cash. Just hey, anytime I stop in, here's a free Euro fry, and I'm good to go.
You would have been the what's the chubby quarterback from the Giants or Kentucky? The Pillsbury throw boy. That's what you would have been.
The Pillsbury throw boy.
That might have been
the hefty lefty.
The hefty lefty. That could have been you if you were. If that wasn't, that would have been me. If anyone, Buffalo Wild Wings sponsored me, I'd be sweating buffalo sauce all day long. So maybe it's good we didn't have NIL, except my pocketbook is hurting. All right, Matt Perkins, back to you.
Well, you know what? If you are happening to be listening right now and you do have NIL deals, Bernie, who do they need to get in touch with?
Chris Anicetti.
That is right. Chris Anicetti and his entire team over at Oak Bridge Wealth Management. They do one thing, and that is take care of NCAA and professional athletes. We all know that athletes train hard to be their best on the field, but who's making sure they're winning off the field? Oak Bridge Wealth Management. That's who. They don't just manage your money. They handle your entire financial world, from building a rock-solid financial plan tailored for athletes to paying bills, budgeting, setting up LLCs, and securing financing for cars, equipment, and whatever else you need so you can focus on your game. If you're a collegiate athlete or parent of a collegiate athlete navigating NIL opportunities, Chris and his team are here to help you maximize your earnings and protect your future. Your career is short, so make every dollar count. Oak Bridge Wealth Management, where athletes build lasting wealth. John, you would have gotten some serious NIL deals as the starting quarterback, 3-year starting quarterback at a Big Ten program. Do you think you would have been tempted to hit the portal after that first very successful year for a bigger payday at an Ohio State or a Michigan or
Let me revise this question a little bit, Matt Perkins. I met John Stocco in high school, when he was in high school. Owen Daniels and I were his hosts. I wasn't technically his host, but I kind of just, leached on. Stocco, from that moment, you were like a high school kid who became one of the, if not one of the best quarterbacks Wisconsin's had in its history. Exactly like Matt Perkins says, dude. What makes you stay? What do you think would have been the temptation? Like, and how important is that growth period from the day I met you with hair to the day, the day you graduated from college? Like, how bananas is it to think that you might have not been there maybe?
Yeah, it's a different world, and I try to put myself in these guys' shoes nowadays to try to understand what I would have done to the point of this question. I wanted development. That's one thing that I wanted. I was talking to Coach Horton when he was recruiting me. He was the quarterback coach. He said, your freshman year, you're going to be 6th on the depth chart. You're going to redshirt. You're going to take that time to learn the playbook, get accustomed to school, academics. And then the year after that, Sorgi will be a senior. You're probably not going to beat him out. And then, the year after that, we want you to compete for a starting job and hopefully win it and hopefully be a 3-year starter. And that's exactly how it played out. So I wanted development. I wanted to invest myself into a program. I wanted to be in a situation where the coaches were excited about developing quarterbacks and helping them improve. And so the idea of, getting paid to play and having an opportunity to go somewhere else just was completely foreign to me because it didn't exist. So it's to answer the question. It's hard to say. It's hard to say what I would have done. I'd like to think I would have stayed without even a question or hesitation, but it's probably different when that money is real and it's right in front of you. So
how hard do you think it is for these guys when the money is in front of you, the landscape has completely changed? And then I guess from a Coach Horton perspective, like, can you build a plan with a kid anymore?
I don't know if you can. I was thinking about that. I think it's really hard to develop guys now, and I think quarterbacks in particular need to be developed and coached, and oftentimes can take multiple years to where you can be in a position where you're really understanding it, the offense really able to anticipate. So I don't know if you can do it anymore. I think you have to try, and I think that's one interesting thing that I'm excited to see how that plays out for Wisconsin and Coach Grimes and how he's going to approach that. But I do think it's hard, and I think it's tough for a lot of high school kids trying to get recruited too, because, you know, if I'm a college coach and I could go recruit a high school kid to come in and play, or I could get a transfer that's already shown that he can play at a productive level, then it's different. It's really hard to follow. It's really hard to wrap my arms around. So it's just obviously a completely different world.
Yeah, and going along with that, we see so many more coaches changing jobs every year, right? Every 2 years, the coaches are going to new places as well. So just having those long, 5-6 year relationships with one coach just doesn't really seem to happen very much anymore, outside of like some very, very stable head coaching jobs, of which there are few and far between these days. So, but you mentioned Jeff Grimes. I'm curious what your thoughts are here as the Badgers venture into 2025 with a new system that is, at least on paper, much more to what Badger fans are accustomed to watching on the fields. What are your thoughts here on bringing in the former Kansas and Baylor offensive coordinator?
I'm excited. He's going to run the football, so let's go. I from the jump, I didn't understand the Coach Longo hire. I think he seems like a great guy. I just don't think it was the right fit at all. So I'm really excited about Coach Grimes, and it is new and different in a lot of ways compared to what Coach Longo did. It's almost completely different in the pass game, I would say, and just overall philosophy. I think one of the good things about it is Coach Grimes, his main run scheme is the wide, not to get into too many details if you guys want, but his main scheme
we want the details.
Okay,
This is what we're here for. Let's get into it.
Yeah, so he runs the football. His main scheme is the wide zone. That's kind of what he hangs his hat on, and that's actually what Coach Longo, when he did run the ball, they ran a decent amount of wide zone last year. So I think for the guys up front, it's not – now they might coach it differently. They might be different in techniques and things like that. But I think there's going to be some consistency there, which I think is going to be good for these guys in trying to come back to a more physical run the ball mentality. So I'm excited about that. And the other things that I like, he runs a lot of misdirection. So you have wide zone, stretching the field, let's say to the right, and then you'll have a guy coming in motion and a jet sweep, either getting the ball or faking the ball going to the left. So if you're a defender, a linebacker, it just puts a lot of stress on you. You don't know, where the ball is necessarily going to go. So I like that element. And then he attacks the field vertically in play action. So I think there's a lot to be excited about. There's a lot to like. Yes, a lot of it's going to be different, but some of those key elements are still going to be consistent from last year, which I think is exciting.
Listen, man, watching the offense last year was like pulling teeth. Listen, our offense wasn't so good either. Like, we just kind of handed the ball off and ran a lot of times. And listen, it was 3 yards and a cloud of dust.
Mm-hmm.
But we stayed on the field. And we also had one of the best defense in the nation a bunch of years in a row. But was the culture, right? And last year we were never on the field. We turned the ball. Like, we made so many bad mistakes. Stocco, how do you change that?
Yeah, I think a few things. One is if you're going to commit to running the football, to your point, it helps you stay on the field. it's easy to nitpick from last year, but I remember one of the games, I don't remember which game it was, where it's 2nd and 1 and we try a flea flicker for actually the second time in the game and it doesn't work. And then it's 3rd and 1 and we try to run our counter scheme, which, it seemed like wide zone was kind of the more successful scheme that they had last year. So, I think it was Bill Walsh who talks about, on key 3rd and shorts, what are you going to run? And that's kind of who you are. And that's kind of what your philosophy should be. Not every time, but maybe 80+% of the time. So they would get into those 2nd 1, 3rd and 1s. And it's like, I don't know what we're going to do. It could be a drop back pass. It could be trying to run counter. It could be trying to run wide zone. So I think you start with defining what you're going to be great at. And I think Coach Grimes is going to say, we're going to run wide zone. We're going to run the football. We're going to run the football. When defenses start to over pursue, we're going to hit them with misdirection, hand the ball off on the fly sweep. And if they start to come downhill, we're going to hit them over the top of play action. But it all starts with wide zone. If you're not going to get great at that, then none of these other things work. So I think that's where you start is what are we going to fully commit to? And then how are we going to take advantage of opportunities when they present themselves?
So Stocco, it's 3rd and 1 on the 50. Barry's going to go for it on 4th down. What do we run?
Power. Run power.
And if we don't get it on 3rd and 1, which is bananas, what are we doing again?
Sneak or power, probably.
Occasional fullback dive. Fullback dive.
I had like 3 carries in my career, Bernie.
Yeah. But I mean, that's, we hung our head on, I would say mostly, obviously the run game, but power, counter, Anthony, AD, like the A zone gap, like the, I don't know what we would say, the inside zones. Mm-hmm. He was good. He was great at the handoffs, the outside. He was more of an outside zone guy. Ron Dane was like an A gap zone guy. But you're right, dude. When it was 3rd and 1 or 3rd and 2, it was power almost all the time. And a lot of times it was like, you knew what was coming. We were just better than you.
That's if you're going to be great at something, you got to be able to run it when the defense has 8 in the box. You got to be able to say, we don't care. We're going to find a way to block it up and find a way to get 3 and 4 yards. And I don't know that they had that last year. I think in the air raid, there's passing concepts that you want that to be the case where you're so good at it that you can just convert. And, for whatever reason, they just never got to that point where they could do it consistently the last couple of years. So, Ohio State 2004, I think. There we took the lead with 7 minutes left. I think we ran power 13 times and ran the clock out. So I don't know if you'll see that with Grimes, but I'm excited about what he can.
Some of the best throws ever by you to J.O. with that diving cat was amazing. Dude, it's another thing also when you bring up that game, right? Like first quarter, nobody moved the ball. It's like a defensive battle. And then all of a sudden, AD breaks a long one. It's like the quintessential Badger game, right? Like it's boring, it's a fist fight, and then all of a sudden we take over. And then we never gave it back, right? Coach Alvey would say the momentum swing. We were physical. We took it upon ourselves, like go play at the Horseshoe. We had the confidence, right? Stock. Remember, like we'd be sitting in there and like, we haven't lost in this place in 10 years. Mm-hmm. Like, so all those things, those are the things that I'm nervous about, right? When it comes to what the Badgers have, what they're going to be. We're kind of in a weird place, right? In the last 30 years, like we don't have a defined culture. We're hiring new coaches. We got new players. You never know what you're going to have until the 3rd game of the season. But for us, the 3rd game of the season is one of the hardest games. Is that Alabama? So like it's Alabama. So like you're going against like a behemoth, if not truly a behemoth anymore, but on paper and on our mentals, they've been a behemoth for 20 years. What can Coach Fickle do, Stocco, to say, hey, guys, this is who we have been. This is who I want to see us become. How do you do that?
Well, I think it starts with defining, to your point, who we want, who we're going to be, and what do we want to be on the offensive side of the ball. We got to be a physical team that can run the football. That's just got to be who we are. We don't care what the defense is going to do. It's 3rd and 2. We're going to be able to run the football. We're going to be able to get a first down, move the sticks, move the chains, and then I think you have to take accountability. You have to take ownership from the coaches down to the players. And I think that's where it starts. That's where it starts. Is this is who we're going to be, and then everything that we're going to do and say is aligned to that. So I agree. This is just a different place that this program's been in, and it kind of started a few years ago, and we actually started losing the axe a little bit to PJ Fleck and the Gophers, and that got more competitive. And it's like, what's going on here? And then, I hope that they can get it back. The schedule is not favorable this year, unfortunately, but I am encouraged about the prospects of being able to run the ball, picking up some of those third and shorts, being able to stay on the field, huddling. I like that. Being under center at least some of the time, it sounds like they're going to be, which is exciting to me too. So hopefully it's moving in the right direction.
John, I want to go back to something you mentioned a bit ago. You said, when it's third one, fourth one, what are we doing? It's running power. That's who we are. That's Wisconsin football culture. So when someone, that was actually one of the questions I had written down for this, is when someone says Wisconsin football culture, what does that mean to you? And do you think that how much has that changed in the past 20 years from when you guys were on the field until now?
I think Wisconsin football culture is don't flinch. We don't care what is going to happen in front of us. We're going to find a way to be physical. We're going to find a way to get it done. We're going to find a way to push you out of the way. Like it doesn't matter what you do. So on offense, again, we're going to run power. It doesn't matter how many guys they have in the box. If it's a big moment, we're going to figure out a way to get that first down. It doesn't matter. So to me, it's toughness, don't flinch, accountability. And those are probably the big ones that I'd say.
Matt Perkins, I don't think it's it's changed recently, but it hasn't. That was like that for a very long time.
Yeah,
up until just recently. But again, everything shifted so much with NIL, transfer portal, and coaching switch all at the same time. COVID, coming out of COVID, like it's all too much maybe at one time, and we just weren't on a foundation that was built to get over it just yet. Maybe some questionable calls like hiring Phil Longo and completely switching up like a Gary Anderson call. It's kind of crazy. But here we are, Stocco. We are middle of the pack at best right now in the Big Ten. I hate it. Peeves me to say that. If that's even a word anymore, Matt Perkins.
Yeah,
haven't used that word. I haven't peeved in a long time.
About that. I'm PO'd.
I know. So Stocco, you hear us a lot of people saying 5.5 games. That's like the line. What do you think about that?
It's strange that that's kind of the expectation, it's probably pretty close to a good target. Just again, given the schedule, and it pains me to say that we got to a place where 10-3 wasn't good enough anymore, so yeah, it's just a different deal now, and it's certainly harder for this coaching staff given NIL and transfer portal and all those other things. But yeah, it's to think that 5.5 games is kind of expectation is just a different place to be.
It's nuts. We can say it. It's batch crazy, man. Okay, yeah. Another question.
But these guys can go out and prove everybody wrong. You know that like
they absolutely.
I mean there's. I think there's some positive momentum. I think there's some things to be excited about. I think they've got some pretty good running backs that they are going to be able to hand the ball off to that can make some plays. So I hope they use it as motivation and go out there and just get it done. So
have you had a chance to watch a lot of Billy Edwards Jr. tape from his time at Maryland?
I haven't seen much of the tape. I saw some of his stats. I think he threw for almost 3,000 yards last year, 2,800, something like that, which is pretty good. So it seems like he's got a little bit of mobility. He can move a little bit, which is good. I think Grimes likes big arms, guys that can move a little bit. I mean, who doesn't? Everybody would love to have a Josh Allen kind of guy. But so yeah, and he's experienced, and so I think there's a lot to be excited about.
Yeah, Bernie. One of the things that Brady Collins mentioned when he was on with us was his leadership, even from the jump, Bern. And I think that is going to be as necessary a trait as any physical one that he has given the last 2 years of the program.
I mean, him, but Vinny Anthony being a lifer there, 4 or 5 years there, like you need those guys, and they're few and far between. So yeah, it's nice to have, and also Stocco, this, like you weren't the most vocal dude on the field, But the second you walked into the huddle, nobody said a word. Didn't matter if you were the best player in the stadium or not. You ran the show, and people took your lead, right? Like everywhere, off the field, on the field, everyone backed you up, took your lead. So you need that dude, and it has to be the quarterback. I don't care what anyone says. Like, it can't be anyone else. Stocco, how important is the QB? How important is Billy Edwards Jr. like this year alone to the Badgers? Listen, 5.5 games, 6 games, we're okay with that, but it's going to be on him. Like, I'm not going to put it on him, but like, it's all on the quarterback. I think getting to a bowl game, if that's the best we can do, that's so important, right? It shows that we're still in it to win it. You get that time, it's vacation. I don't think bowl practice matters anymore because anyone could just leave. So you're potentially not developing people, but it is important to the younger players, I would still say. So, like, Stocco, you were QB 3 years. First off, tell me more about that time. How amazing was it? People just throwing falafel sandwiches at you and beers.
What was the biggest perk to being QB1?
Your scooter got fixed at scooter therapy first.
You got first in line at scooter therapy when your scooter broke down. Yeah, definitely. Probably all the attention from Matt Bernstein. I was just trying to, be around him on campus as much as I could, and I knew good things were probably going to happen. So if I was sixth string, I don't know if he would have hung out with me as much. So
I think that we would have, Stocco, because you enjoyed a nice Coors Light here and there, and I enjoyed many, and it was a lot of fun hanging out with you still to this day. I love hanging out with you.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. You're the man. Yeah. And Billy Edwards, quarterback's key. It's obviously a crucial position, and there's just some basics that I think you have to be able to do as a quarterback. You got to be able to get the guys in and out of the huddle. You've got to, manage the formation and shifts and play clock and be a great decision maker and all those things. And you got to be a guy that other guys can trust in those key moments specifically. I think one of the good things is I don't think it's going to be all on the quarterback this year, which I think that was the case the last 2 years in air raid scheme. If you've got an average quarterback in an air raid scheme, you're done. You don't have much of a shot. Whereas, more of a pro style system like kind of Grimes has, you've still got an opportunity to be successful, even if you've got an average kind of guy back there. So I do think that's going to be good. I think that I've heard a lot of great things about him from a leadership standpoint. So, yeah, I'm excited to see what he can do.
Well, you mentioned that handing the ball off. Does it ever get boring handing the ball off 35, 40, 45 times a game? Are there times you're out there just like, let me freaking throw the ball downfield? Like, enough of running power for the 38th straight time.
If we're winning, I'm not complaining very much. If we're not winning, then all right, let me get an opportunity to throw the ball around here. But yeah, it's I think somebody asked Coach Christ one time how much he ideally wanted to throw the ball in a game, and I think he jokingly said ideally never. But yeah, I think running the football, in my opinion, is just fundamental to offensive football, and you got to be able to run the ball and then make defenses pay, through the air when you can. But yeah, if we're moving the ball and winning football games, that was fun. I don't care how we did it. So
it depends. If you saw 122 slide draw come in, it wasn't that fun, Stocco. You thought it was. You would laugh in the huddle.
Yeah. Bernie, here's another one.
Because it's like 3rd and 2 or 3rd and 3, and you're like, you know what play it is. Like, everyone knew. I could read the signals. After a while, you kind of, I don't know how my brain doesn't work. I can't understand any other language, but I could somehow do sign language when it was coming in off the sidelines. I like 30 zone, obviously the best. Slide draw, not so much. But Stocco, you thought that was funny. You're like, hey, Bern, 122 slide draw, guys, on whatever the arcade, so it's on one. Never checked out of it.
I should have checked to it more often.
I don't even know if you could check to it. That would have been a real nightmare for me if we could check into it. Oh, man, that brings up just great memories. Stocco, hit me with like some great memories you have of just like being part of the team. I'm just sad for these guys because there's so many in and outs in their world, whereas you and I were we were going nowhere. So you and I were together for 4 solid years, and nobody was going to leave like that dynamic. Like you're sitting in the locker room, like you look to your right and your left. You're like, man, I don't know if these guys are here anymore. Like next year, how important and how much fun was that for you?
It was so much fun. Even the seminary. I know a lot of you guys that are running slide draw every other play, 2 practices a day for 2 weeks might not have loved it as much. But even just going to the seminary and just it's all football 24/7 and just hanging out with your teammates. It was just a really good time. A great way to build relationships with your teammates. Then you get back on campus and then you do it again the next year. It's just, you develop just great friendships. I mean, you and I and a lot of our other teammates, these are friends that we're going to have for life. And, if you're only, teammates with somebody for a year and then they leave and maybe you don't build as many great relationships, I don't know. So yeah, it's just, that camaraderie, I think, was special and something that I think we all look back to and say that was one of the coolest parts of the whole experience. So,
I mean, that's really interesting you mentioned that, Bernie, because I was working on something for my work over at 247, and so I pulled up something. There are of the guys who are, let's say, true seniors right now, so 4th-year seniors. There are only 4 guys who have been together for 4 years. Joe Brunner, Austin Brown, Vinny Anthony, and Katie Ekamelli. Everyone else from that 2022 class gone. That 2021 class, you've got, a couple guys who are in the league already, Hunter Wooler, Braylon Allen, and Jake Chaney. But, besides that, you've got Riley Mullman, JP Benchall, Daryl Peterson, and Ricardo Hallman all still here. But again, like 4-5 guys a class. You guys were used to, if 15 of you guys came in together, 12 or 13 were walking out together, right? And I can't even imagine how many guys you have to get to meet and know and trust every single season.
I mean, I'll just say right off the bat, you just have to learn different people and everyone plays a different game, right? So like you had Klink and Benning for forever. And then you had Matt Lawrence and Jason Palermo, and they were all of them were fantastic, but they're just different, right? The body shifts differently, and like you ran to Joe Thomas every time. You knew what you were getting. You ran the other way, you had to figure it out, right? So it's just a dynamic where you know somebody, you can see the way they move and operate and how they block things. You watch film, like you get to know the guys so well at their position that you can play your position even better. And same thing with me in high school. We had the same dudes play no one came in and out. Like there was never like this guy's coming off the soccer team to play and dominate. Like that never happened. It was like the same. We were all tracked. You played football, you played soccer. So it's just I just don't know. Like even how Stocco threw the ball is different than how Sorgi threw it, how Brooks threw it. And then all of a sudden, your 3 years, you hear Stocco's voice and the cadence. You know how many times like you don't really jump when you hear the cadence and Stocco's voice. And you can pick it out from 80,000 fans. It's all that stuff is nuts. And I just could not think. I think it would just be very difficult to I'd be saddened. All these people like that came into the locker room that you're like, yes, I love this dude. Could be gone the next, could be gone, could be doing what's best for them. Whatever it is, it's just like, man, I wanted to really hang out with that guy more. And they just are gone. And I think that's what's special about kind of our world now is that, dude, Stocco, we did that, man. 4 years. You knew who you were in the locker room. You knew who the dudes were going to be. Even if you didn't play ever, people were friends with everybody. I mean, it wasn't like the starting clique hung out with the starting clique. It was like the dudes who, I don't know, sat at this table. And could have been anybody. And it was a good mix with offense and defense. And I think there's a lot of discrepancy in the culture in that way, because if I just show up and I'm a junior, do I care about a freshman? Do I care about I don't know. I don't know. I just don't know. And you become friends with 4 people. Maybe they're your roommates somehow. And that's it. It's the whole dynamic of the world, and also social media. And there's all this stuff.
Well, you build a lot of trust with guys too. By that 3rd or 4th year, you come in together as freshmen and you're all together in that 6 a.m. lift and JD's on you and you guys, you go through that together. And then as you progress throughout the careers, maybe you get a little bit of playing time, and you build a lot of trust with your teammates by that point. When you got a new guy coming in, you might not understand his level of work ethic, could be different than yours. You may not have gone through the same things. You probably takes a little bit of time to be able to trust, somebody like that when they're coming in new and you don't know them as well. So yeah, it's, I'm glad that I played when I did. So
I'm glad you played when you did too.
Yeah, I'm glad that you did too.
I mean, I was there watching the whole time, so I'm very happy about it as well. But speaking of those guys, Bernie, you brought up a couple guys that you guys played with. John, one of the questions that I wanted to ask you is, who's someone that you play with that you think is either like perpetually underrated or didn't get the appreciation they deserve, like maybe from the media or from the fans, as to just how good and effective they were on the field?
Oh man.
Because, like, for me, I think a classic guy like this is like Jonathan Orr, right? I think J.O. didn't get a lot of like publicity. He was never like the big star receiver, but I felt like he always did the right thing every single play. Like, great blocker, always like good hands, seemed to run clean routes. Now you're the one throwing to him, not me, so I can't really speak to that. But to me, that seems someone that would sort of fit the bill.
That's a good one. J.O. was a great player. Great player. I always knew exactly where he was going to be on his routes. Good speed, good hands, could go up, jump over people and catch the ball. That's a really good one. He's a great player and great guy too. Another one, well, I mean, obviously Brandon Williams. I think Brandon Williams got a lot of attention, but I still think Brandon Williams was underrated. That guy was so good as a receiver. He could create separation, his competitiveness, going in and getting the ball in tight spots. Just an absolutely great player. Man, that's a good question. There's a lot of really good players that we had during that time.
I'll give you, I think, the blocking tight ends. Because you had like OD overshadow everyone. He was so good. But you had Pashodi and Posiak who like did the dirty work when nobody else, and they never got an accolade. They might have caught 2 balls combined, maybe 3. And I'm just thinking offense. Defense, Andy Crooks. Guy never, he got moved to tight end as I think at the end of his career. But that dude had 2 touchdowns like almost every season. He had a touchdown in a bowl game. He was all over the field. I think the defense had some guys that were very much underrated, only because you had some studs in positions that the newspaper's going to talk about much more than maybe an Andy Crooks at a middle linebacker. Even Zalewski, that dude was all over the place. Made 1,000 tackles, was named captain as a junior. I mean, you're talking about there's so much. Even though he'll never let it down that I said this in a public forum. But I would say, if I on offense, I mean, I'm definitely forgetting people, but
the
blocking tight ends got no.
Posiak is a good one. I was thinking of Crooks too. Because he was a guy that I don't think he realized at the time that Coach Christ was sort of quietly, not so subtly converting him into a blocking fullback, and just never really took issue with that. Just took that role, and he was a huge part of our run game. He's a huge part of the pass protection, and he scored some touchdowns, but didn't get a lot of opportunities. Just did a lot of that dirty work. So he was a really important piece to that puzzle. And then Zoo, prototypical Wisconsin football player. From Wisconsin, tough guy, pretty good dude too. So.
Pretty good dude. You gotta like that guy.
gotta like him.
You gotta like him. Drink a lot of water if you're going to be around Zalewski, though, because you will electrolytes. Take an IV or 2 or 3. You're going to throw up.
Oh, man. Well, we've got a couple minutes left here, John, so I'm going to finish us off with some rapid fire questions for you. I'm going to start out. What is your favorite Coach Alvarez saying or quote?
Gotta be, don't flinch.
Don't flinch. I like it.
Gotta be.
Who was the best trash talker you played against?
That I played against?
Yeah, or with. I imagine with is Brandon Williams.
Brandon's up there. B Will's up there.
Antosh was pretty high too.
Yeah. I'd go B Will. Yeah.
That's a good one. Choose one: beat Iowa, beat Minnesota, or beat Michigan. What's the best feeling to win in each of those stadiums? I'll ask. I'll be a little bit more specific. Does it feel best to win at Iowa, at Michigan, or at Minnesota?
I'd probably go Minnesota.
Why?
Because of the importance of that rivalry. It's and because it's, I think we did it for like 13 years straight. So when we don't do it, it just stings. Just hate it. Just can't lose that one.
What's your favorite Big Ten stadium outside of Camp Randall?
Penn State, Beaver Stadium.
That's a good one. What's the one question you wish someone would ask you in an interview?
Oh my gosh. What was it like to play with Matt Bernstein?
So what was it like to play with Matt Bernstein?
Check to slide draw.
That's how good it was.
It's last one. It's third and long. What is your ideal play? Either like concept or specific play that you guys would run on third.
Zip tribe ram Brown 7 Cowboy.
I didn't even have to ask. I didn't even have to ask it twice. Why? Who was always open there?
So it's a 3-by-1. So Brandon Williams would be to the short side of the field, and he's going to run a 7 route, which is basically a deep out. And then J.O. or Paul Hubbard would short motion from the wide side. And they're going to run basically a deep cross over the middle. And then you're going to have somebody running underneath. And so basically you're creating, if you like the one-on-one to be Will, you take that. Otherwise, you're trying to get it to J.O. or Paul Hubbard over the middle at about 18 yards. So,
hey, Stocco, so they asked you to come speak this year. What's your main point? What's a couple things you're just trying to relay to the team?
That's a good question. I think first and foremost is probably go all in. Like, go all in. This time goes by faster than you think. So get in the film room a little bit more, get after a little bit more in practice. It just, this time is such a short period. It goes by fast. I'd just say go all in. And there's a lot of changes around you, new coaches, on the offensive side of the ball. And, whether you think it's right, wrong, or whatever, just go all in with what they're trying to do and just freaking get after it, man. Just get after it. Like, let's go. That's it. That's all I'd say.
6+ wins. That's what you should be fired up about.
Exactly. That would piss me off. People only thought we're going to win 5.5 games.
Piss me off all day.
Yeah. I would say go all in and just get after it, man.
Well, we're going to be all in here on the podcast all season, like we always are. John, we can't thank you enough for returning here to Believe in Badgers on the Believe Network, presented by Oak Bridge Wealth Management. We'll be back again next week. More interviews, more good times. And like I said, John, it's always a pleasure to see your face, to go down memory lane with you. You brought me one of my greatest memories as a sports fan. So it's always a pleasure to see you here and to have you chime in. So until next time, thanks for tuning in. Make sure you're subscribing, rating, reviewing, all that good stuff wherever you are consuming this. We'll be back again next week. And until then, on Wisconsin.
On Wisconsin.